their eyes. Take a deep breath in. And close your eyes. Let's nuke this anxiety. And ask yourself, what are you anxious about? What specifically? What specifically? And if you want to ask yourself, ask your unconscious mind, ask your inner child, what am I anxious about specifically? Make sure you're working on a specific thing. And then you can do this several times if you want for different specific things. Just we want to make sure we do this on a specific thing, specific event, specific topic. What are you anxious about? What specifically? And what I'd like you to do is imagine you can fly or float. You're Rocket Man or Superman or Wonder Woman or whatever, Iron Man. Superwoman, you name it. Or pretend you have angel wings, or you have a jetpack or a rocket pack or your own super freedom plane. Maybe even visualizing way up high above you that there's a zip line, a huge zip line that goes back in the past or goes forward all the way out in the future. A huge zip line you can grab if you want to do a zip line. And remember, you're safe. You're safe floating or flying up high. I like you to float up nice and high above now. Kind of like when you're looking out of a plane. Everything's teeny tiny down below. All the roads are like a little teeny line. Your timeline is, if you will, going back to the past and out to the future. However it looks, by the way, is perfect. But imagine it's a line, a teeny tiny line, like a road is when you look out of an airplane, when you're up high in the sky. And again, you're safe. You're completely safe. You can totally control this. And what I'd like you to do, that thing you were anxious about, I want you to float out to the future. Take your zip line, your freedom ship, your wings, or float or fly out, however you do it, out to the future, floating high above now, high above your timeline, high above all the future events, float really high. That way, everything in the future, everything down below is teeny, 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 tiny. And float out above the future. And as you're floating out to the future, to when that event or that situation may happen in the future, notice the successful completion of the event about which you thought you were anxious. Go ahead and notice that now. Notice it or visualize it completing successfully. You know, the thing was done. You got the interview went well, or you got the money, or you paid off your debt. You have money in your bank account now. Maybe you're looking at your bank account. Maybe you're seeing people give you credit cards. You got the business up. Things are running. You've had that tough talk with someone. You've taken action. You've put yourself out there. You're getting some good feedback from people. Whatever it is, visualize the successful completion of the event, that situation, the time which you thought you were anxious about. And make sure you visualize the successful completion. Make sure you visualize it completing successfully as you're floating out to the future. Usually we make up the future in crappy ways. That's what gives us anxiety. So if we're going to make it up anyways, the future hasn't happened yet, make it up well, make it up good. So make it up good. After you visualize the successful completion of the event, whatever that means to you, that you thought you were anxious about, what I'd like you to do is float 15 minutes after the successful completion of that event. So float into the future. It's already happened. It's done. It's completed successfully, whatever that means to you. Float to the future, 15 minutes at least after the successful completion of the event which you thought you were anxious about, and staying there in the future, turn and look towards now along your timeline. Look back to now, looking past the successful completion of that event. You're in the future, 15 minutes at least in the future. You're looking all the way back towards now, and you're looking past the successful completion. Oh, that was easy. You know, boom, done, easy peasy. That went well. That went good. And you're looking all the way back to now, past that successful completion of that event. Now, what is anxiety? Is it gone? If anything's still there, or a little bit is still there, I want to make sure that you're imagining it completing successfully. It went well. Maybe not perfectly, but it completed successfully. Just make sure you visualize it. You make it up good, as my mentor says. You visualize it completing successfully. If it's still there a bit, you still feel anxious after imagining the successful completion of the event, You got the money, the debt was paid off, you got the job, you got the interview, your business has started, people are paying you money, you're putting yourself out there, your social media accounts are doing well, people are responding, people are seeing you. You asked the person out, you got the date, you got the job, whatever it is, the thing you had to do. The health thing went well, everything turned out well. If you're still feeling some anxiety after visualizing the successful completion of the event, now float a further half an hour out to the future, past the successful completion of that event. Maybe even imagine what you're doing then. Maybe you're sitting in your chair or chilling or hanging out with someone, maybe having lunch. And from that future place, now stay there, turn and look back towards now, look all the way back towards now, past the successful completion of that event, the event about what you thought you were anxious. Now, where is anxiety? Is it gone? Good. If it's gone, come back to now. If it's still there a little bit, float even the future, even float even further out, float 2 or 3 hours out, float as far as you need into the future. And then turn and look back towards now, past the completion, the successful completion, making sure you're imagining the successful completion of that event. And when the anxiety is gone, float back to now, float all the way back to now. Float all the zip line or fly or float or rocket ship, whatever. Fly all the way back to now. And then float down into now. Feet on the ground, open your eyes. And if there's more anxiety to eliminate, more topics, more things, specifically more events, more situations, do that whole thing again, using a new event, new situation, asking yourself, what am I anxious about? What specifically? And that is how we can nuke anxiety. And come back to now, float back to now, float down into the room, and open your eyes.